Hello, this is the 46th lecture on Revelation and World History. In the prophetic books and the book of Revelation, an empire appears that invades Israel and its surrounding nations. This empire is called Babylon. And in the book of Revelation, along with the Babylonian Empire, another invading nation appears. That nation is Gog and Magog. Last time, we looked at the description of Gog and Magog in Ezekiel chapter 38. Gog is the title of the king who rules over the land of Magog. Gog's army is described as consisting solely of cavalry. A nation with a similar structure to this description once appeared in history. It was the Mongol Empire built by Genghis Khan. The Babylonian Empire in the Book of Revelation is the Soviet Union. And Gog and Magog in Ezekiel is the Mongol Empire of Genghis Khan. In the very places where the Mongol Empire's horseshoes trod in the 13th century, communist states were established in the 20th century. In this lecture, we will explore two kinds of war. Revelation and World History, Chapter 6, Section 7. Two types of war. The first war. On that day, I will give Gog, the land of Israel, the valley east of the sea, through which the people pass, as a burial place for his army. The way through which they pass will be blocked. There, they will bury Gog and all his multitude, and it will be called the Valley of Hamon-Gog. The house of Israel will bury them for 7 months, to cleanse the land. Ezekiel chapter 39 verses 11 to 12. The second war. Those who live in the cities of Israel will go out and burn their weapons with fire, shields and bucklers, bows and arrows, clubs and spears, for 7 years. They will not gather wood from the field, or cut down trees from the forests, because they will kindle fires with their weapons. Ezekiel chapter 39 verses 9 to 10. The text describes two types of war: a war to bury the enemy for 7 months, and a war to burn the enemy's weapons for 7 years. This is evident from the previous statement in Ezekiel chapter 39 verse 6. God will send fire on Magog and on the people who live securely in the isles. This refers to God's punishment of the two forces that invaded Israel, Magog and the people who live securely on the islands. Gog and Magog refer to the Mongol Empire, founded by Genghis Khan. And the people who live securely on the islands refers to none other than Japan. Japan is an island nation, surrounded by the sea on all sides, a natural fortress. It was never invaded or occupied by foreign powers in ancient times. The Mongol Empire attempted to conquer Japan but failed. Later, Japan also fought the Sino-Japanese War with the Qing dynasty, a continental power. Next, Japan fought the Russo-Japanese War with Russia. In this way, Japan is also a very important country, as the history of conflict between continental and maritime powers repeats itself. Mongolia and Japan are both countries that invaded the Korean Peninsula. And this is a prophetic word that God will punish them in return for their invasion. The first is the Mongol invasion of the Korean Peninsula. The phrase 7 months in the text does not refer to the war lasting 7 months. The Mongol invasion of the Korean Peninsula was not a one-time event. It occurred 7 times, beginning in 1231 and ending in 1259, when Goryeo surrendered. We referred to history of war experienced by the Korean people. The war between Goryeo and the Mongols did not end in one fell swoop. That doesn't mean the war lasted 30 years. Each time the Mongols invaded Goryeo, they were blocked by Goryeo's resistance and were unable to subdue it. And this act of reorganizing the military and invading again was repeated 7 times, over a period of 30 years. Despite numerous attempts to conquer the Korean peninsula, the Mongols faced persistent resistance and were unable to completely conquer Goryeo. Finally, they secured Goryeo's surrender under the terms of the Treaty of Peace between Goryeo and Mongolia, achieving only a partial victory. Thus, the Goryeo dynasty was preserved. This meant that, while all the dynasties the Mongols passed through were destroyed, the Goryeo dynasty alone managed to survive. The Mongol Empire, a continental power, attempted to conquer Japan, a maritime power, but failed, repeatedly due to typhoons. The second is the 7 Years' War, which is the Imjin War. In 1592, over 300 years after the Mongol invasion of Japan, Japan launched the Imjin War under the pretext of attacking the Ming dynasty. The Imjin War, initiated by Toyotomi Hideyoshi, lasted for 7 years, ending only in 1598. The phrase, "burning the enemy's weapons for 7 years," refers to the war lasting 7 years. Here, the way through is blocked. This means that Japan's plan for expansion into the Asian mainland stalled and was discontinued. Two kinds of war refers to a situation in which both Mongolia's maritime expansion and Japan's continental expansion come to a halt on the Korean peninsula. The common thread between the Mongol and Japanese invasions of the Korean peninsula is that the entire country was trampled and reduced to ashes by the enemy. Despite this, the Korean dynasty was ultimately unable to be destroyed, and the route of passage across the peninsula to other regions was blocked. The significance of this history is closely related to the prophecy of the Book of Revelation, namely the emergence of Babylon. With the Japan-Korea Annexation Treaty in 1910, Japan's rule over the Korean peninsula began. During this period, Russia became communist in 1917. Japan's defeat in the Pacific War liberated the Korean peninsula from Japanese rule and established independence. At the same time, Soviet troops entered the Korean peninsula, severing the Korean peninsula's midsection. Japan played a decisive role in the division of the Korean peninsula into North and South. Thus, the Korean peninsula, situated between continental and maritime powers, was constantly subject to invasion, and a history of war was repeated. This is similar to the geopolitical position of Israel in Palestine. Israel is located at the western end of Asia, and the Korean peninsula is located at the eastern end of Asia. The history of these two countries resembles each other like twins. It mirrors the historical pattern of constant clashes between the various imperial powers of the north and the Egyptian powers of the south in Palestine. The place where the prophecies were written is Israel in Palestine, and the place where that prophecy is fulfilled is the Korean peninsula. The Gog and Magog, mentioned in the Book of Revelation, are often interpreted as the final northern coalition attacking God's people. In other words, they are defined as the worldwide forces of evil opposing God. We have discovered a comparable entity in world history to the description of Gog and Magog in Ezekiel chapter 38. That entity was the Mongol Empire of Genghis Khan. We have examined the connection between the Mongol Empire of Genghis Khan, which corresponds to Gog and Magog, and the Babylonian Empire that appears in the Book of Prophecy within world history. The Babylon mentioned in Revelation is the Soviet Union, and the Gog and Magog, mentioned in Ezekiel chapter 38, is the Mongol Empire of Genghis Khan. The Soviet Union built a communist state on the very foundation of the Mongol Empire. In the next lecture, we will explore Chapter 6, Section 8. The name will be known, in Revelation and World History. It was the Bible History School. If you subscribe and set up notifications, you can continue listening to the lectures on Revelation and World History.